Morning, even afternoon, we got a banger for y'all today, baby. Got another video from Ornery here. Put his YouTube in the description. Be sure to go check out his videos. They're super well done. This is the entire history from beginning to where we are now of sniping in Warzone. Little trip down memory lane. This one, I hope y'all enjoyed as much as I did. If you do, hit the like, hit the sub. Most importantly, be sure to tell somebody you love them. I'll catch you in the next one.
Sniping is something that is not only quintessential to Warzone, but the entire Battle Royale genre as a whole. Warzone sniping has seen a lot of ups and downs and some questionable decisions along the way. So today I wanted to share with you the entire history of sniping in Warzone. I know I already have an entire history of Warzone metas video, but in that video I only mentioned like 4 snipers, which I think was a huge oversight on my part. So I think a dedicated history of sniping video was necessary. There was way more snipers in Warzone than I remembered, so it was kind of nice to look back at some of the more off-meta snipers that were still viable. Comment your favorite sniper in Warzone down below.
Obviously, Car 98 was God tier. That HDR, though, was kind of fire.
Let's go ahead and get this beloved creature out of the way. I know I just asked you guys to comment your favorite sniper down below, and I guarantee 90% of you said the Car 98. This sniper was not only a ton of fun to use, but also very satisfying.
So good, bro. Oh my gosh. Can't do that now.
You had a crazy ADS speed, ridiculous velocity, and a one-shot headshot any range. The Car 98 remained in the forefront of Warzone 1's meta until the very end when they decided to nerf the one-shot range to like 40 meters, I think, which then pretty much only made it good for quick-scoping and resurgence and useless for actual long-range sniping. This has to be the #1 most requested gun to make a return to Warzone without a doubt. I think the XRK Stalker that we have now does a decent job fulfilling what the Car 98 was like, but we truly have never seen another sniper like this since Warzone 1. They could easily bring it back and do something like how they do with the Stalker nowadays. Keep the same ADS speed, velocity, and handling, but just make the one-shot range something reasonable.
They should just bring it back, period, bro. It's the best one of the game.
I would argue that the HDR was yet another beloved sniper that didn't really last long. At launch, the thermal sniper scope was insanely useful and made anyone stick out like a sore thumb. Keep in mind, the HDR pretty much had no bullet drop and you only had to lead your shot very little, but pretty much had no adjustment to height. This made long-range sniping easier than ever before. Also, the raw damage of the HDR was pretty nice on its own as well. I'm pretty sure 2 chest shots would kill any fully plated enemy at any range, which is pretty nice considering how easy it was to use. However, just a few months after launch, they decided to nerf thermal scopes entirely by lowering the range of where you could see someone. I don't know the exact range, but I know at launch it was literally unlimited, or so it felt like. Like you just had to aim down your sight and you would immediately see anyone no matter how far away they were, which is pretty wild. And then everyone started using cold-blooded to avoid this. But after the nerf, I don't even think it showed past 150 meters, which was a huge change. Throw on a couple velocity nerfs and this gun eventually lost its touch. It got to a point where there was seriously just no reason to use it when the Car 98 was around. Kind of like the nerfs to me just really didn't make sense. Like a lot of guns on this list, it would eventually make a comeback after the marksman rifle nerfs.
AX-50. So far, I've got the first 3. I'm pretty good. He's probably going to put the Rytec in there.
AX-50 was a little more niche during this state of the game. It was definitely meta, but HDR and Car 98 were just the fan favorites in my opinion. It was kind of a hybrid between the two and still leaning much more towards the HDR side of things, but just much quicker and not as easy to use at range. It saw a similar fate once it came down to the thermal nerfs, which is also unfortunate. Just another case of no reason to use this gun when the Car 98 was objectively better in every single way. Just like the HDR, once the marksman rifle nerfs happened, it kind of made a little bit of a comeback on Caldera.
Okay, I've called the first 4. I'm kind of hit, bro. Wow.
Being honest, I completely forgot about this gun entirely. This is probably the most unorthodox gun on this list, but if you really wanted to use it at any given point during Warzone 1, you could probably make it work. The AMR was a semi-automatic Berry 50 cal sniper with awful mobility, average velocity, and a very slow ADS speed. So why am I even talking about it? Well, there was an option of adding thermite or explosive ammo that completely changed how you use snipers entirely. We have explosive ammo today for snipers since the launch of Warzone 2, but it was nothing like the explosive ammo for the Rytec.
I just gotta pause and say, just watching this already being like 3 minutes in, the Verdansk sniping is so much. This is what the game should be, in my opinion. You can disagree with me if you want. I think sniping should be like this.
These rounds were like mini grenades and dealt actual splash damage if you completely missed your target. I think it dealt something like around the 200 damage for any shot that wasn't a headshot, including limbs. That means if your opponent had half their armor or was in the middle of replating, a shot to this gun with the explosive ammo would down them at any range, even if you're just hitting them in the toe. Also, the explosive ammo dealt extreme damage to vehicles. It can melt them before the drivers even realize they were being shot at a super far range. I think that was kind of the purpose of the explosive ammo, but using it on players was even more fun. Truck, helicopter, four-wheeler, Jeep, Nothing was safe. The Thermite, on the other hand, which to me was
I'm gonna guess. I wonder if the next one's
the
gonna
lesser
be
of the
Tundra.
two, dealt residual
Tundra?
damage after you hit them, and also
Let's see
left
if I can
little
go 5
sparks
for
of fire
5,
that
bro.
a Thermite grenade would leave behind.
Tundra,
if you down
that
someone
was-
with a headshot, the residual damage
was
would
an
leave them
update,
with
though,
only
so
about
there's probably
2/3 of
some
the health
before
you would
that.
normally have when down, since the residual damage would kick in after being down, which was honestly pretty cool. With the explosive ammo and Thermite ammo, it also decreased your velocity tremendously, which made it even more difficult to use, which certainly isn't helping its case whatsoever. In my opinion, I think the Rytec was fairly balanced, since the pros and cons were kind of just like all over the place. It did have unlimited one-shot headshot down range up until the marksman rifles as well. I don't know why they decided to include this in those nerfs, but overall, I would love to see another sniper like this to return to Warzone. Just kind of a fun
Bro's
one
playing
to use.
Battlefield right there. SPR, I forgot about this.
Here's a video that actually made it into my history of broken guns video. When it was introduced in season 6, it was bugged to be hit scan, and that is not an understatement. This gun
Oh, I remember the Pellington too. Pellington was good, man.
truly had
I
no
messed with the
bullet drop
Pellington.
off or travel time and was the easiest sniper to use of all time. Say that with
Sorry, I had to
confidence.
pause.
I'm gonna make the same joke
I
that I
forgot
did in
the
that
SPR.
video. It was like playing
Pellington
CS:GO
and
for like
Tundra.
a week.
Pellington
One shot
and
to
Tundra.
the head and was super quick and traveled across
You better
the map
have these in
instantly.
here,
The
bro.
only
You're
thing it
gonna be
doesn't
ordering.
do is aim for you. I don't know how this made into the game, especially since this was right after the thermal scopes nerf. You think they were trying to like polish how sniping went, but then this just somehow slips through the cracks, which is just kind of ridiculous. It was truly just dominating Verdansk until it was nerfed.
I was
I'm totally
AS
cool with
Val, too.
snipers
That
having
was
near
such
hit
a-
scan
that was
bullet
such a
velocity,
broken
but just
meta.
don't let them one shot.
AS
They honestly
Val,
shouldn't
SPR.
even two shot. I was really on the fence about including the DMR, but I'm going to go ahead and mention it since for a while it
Kinda.
actually changed the way long-range
Kinda.
engagements were done. Since the DMR was so broken, it honestly made sniping useless. There was just no reason to be using
I guess that
anything
is
other
true.
than a DMR at long range. The only time sniping would be more beneficial is if you hit your very first shot before they could even see you. The DMR completely dictated sniping until it was finally nerfed, and this is honestly just like my most hated meta in Warzone.
Yes!
The Pellington was one of
Pellington was a gun that's almost Car 98-esque. Like, if it was slightly better, it could have
those
been the Car
guns that
98.
you really didn't know what you had until it was gone.
And
This
it had
was
one
like
of the coolest
kind of a
blueprints,
diet
bro.
Car 98 at the
Yeah, it's
time, and
me.
it was surprisingly very viable throughout.
there's the
Warzone.
blueprint I'm
Fast
talking about.
ADS, one shot to the head, and amazing bullet velocity. I think if they had nerfed the Car 98 at the time, this would have been at the forefront.
Dude, this is exactly the
To the head
blueprint I
and
was
amazing
talking about.
bullet
It's so funny.
velocity.
It's me
I think if
using
they
it.
hadn't-
You guys remember this thing? That was such a cool blueprint right there. So
Car
fire.
98 at the time, this would have been at the forefront of the meta. And I think a
agree.
lot of people would use this before they had their loadout because it felt like you could find these all over the ground loot during the Cold War integration. I also think a lot of people were hesitant to try Cold War snipers out because of their clunkiness with how they felt once ported to the Modern Warfare engine. But if you could get over that, the Pellington was actually pretty good. It even got better after the Vanguard flinch resistance and damage nerfs and became statistically one of the best snipers.
Bro,
for a
you
while.
put that Pellington in the current meta,
The
it's
Tundra is
one
in
of
the
the best
same boat
snipers
as
in
the
the game.
Pellington, where there were simply
Tundra.
just better options.
Ornery, I had a clip with the Tundra where I got a squad right.
In here.
I downed one of them.
Let's go.
He's down right
TTV
on that
shit.
heady.
Coming.
Oh my god, I downed another one in the window. The Tundra! The truth!
I never used it in Warzone, but from the gameplay I've been watching, the recoil actually looked very smooth and made follow-up shots look very easy. People say it was almost hit scan, and looking
This
at this
isn't the
video
clip.
by Tim, I mean, it
This is not
honestly
the clip.
does. This gun would also get better as other guns got nerfed.
Good aim though, Timmy, good aim.
This gun acted very similar to the Rytec. Obviously, they were both a Barrett 50 cal variant. The
bullet
M82
drop.
was pretty much the same gun minus the fun ammunition. The only major difference was that the recoil was very smooth on the M82. It too one shot to the head and two shot to the body out to like 100 meters, I think. So if semi-automatic sniping was more your thing, this probably could have worked out for you. Unfortunately, later on, this would also lose its one-shot headshot potential with nerfs.
I forgot about the
The
ZRG.
ZRG became the kingpin for long-range sniping in
This was a good
Warzone
one in
1.
Caldera.
Low recoil, one-shot headshot, two-shot body shot to unlimited range, decent bullet velocity, and surprisingly good mobility.
If you're watching this, comment down below. Is there a sniper like this right now? Because I'm sitting here thinking, I can't think of one sniper that plays like any of these in the current
For a
Warzone,
long-range
bro.
sniper. The only real
Maybe the
drawback is it had
Stalker?
a really long
Even that,
reload
I think,
time
got
that just
nerfed.
took forever, and its
Why
default
did they
optic
nerf
only
sniping
being a
so
4x
hard, bro? It was so
kind
good.
of made no sense. But if you swap that out to something like way over the top, like the 20x scope that came out at the time, you could dominate the long-range encounters. This gun objectively was way better than the HDR and finally gave us a decent bolt-action long-range sniper that was great all around.
Swiss was
Here's where
awesome,
people
too.
will start a civil war in the comments. A lot of people swear up and down the Swiss K31 was better than the Car 98, but if I'm being
about
honest,
equal,
I don't
about
think
equal.
one is objectively better than the other. I think it truly just comes down to
If I had to pick
preference.
one, I'm
Maybe
taking
the
Car
Car
98 though. If
The
I had
guns
to
are
pick
pretty
one.
much the same, only I think the Swiss K31 had a little bit of a better sound. Crazy fast ADS, insane velocity, quick rate of fire, great mobility, one-shot headshot until the nerf, and a fast reload. This was neck and neck with the Kar 98 on Rebirth Island. Everything I said about the Kar 98 can also be said about the Swiss K3. All I want is just another marksman rifle like these in Warzone today.
Please, bro, please.
You know when people use clickbait titles for their gameplay with buzzwords like one-shot sniper, or two-shot shotgun, or three-shot DMR, and you click on the video
I'm surprised that was my thumbnails.
and it's just like a straight-up lie? Well, the Type 99, yes, one-shots to the head. However, there was a bug with the Vital perk, which increased the size of the critical hit points or something, that made this gun one-shot to the chest up to 44 meters. I personally never really used this gun since, well, this was Vanguard Warzone after all, but after watching gameplay, it looked pretty decent, but outside of this bug, there really was no reason to use it. As far as I know, this is the only sniper that's ever been able to one-shot without a headshot in Warzone history. Please comment if I have that wrong.
There was a blueprint in Verdansk. I can't remember it. Someone in the comments might remember. There was a blueprint on one of the snipers that made it one shot. I think I had a video on it because I couldn't believe it. And it got patched really quick, but that was the only other thing I could think of. Actually, I remember the 3-line too.
This was another Kar 98 wannabe that was honestly pretty common with the ground loot, so you probably used it at some point or another if you were playing the game. But like most guns on this list, they were just better guns to use. Definitely viable, and maybe if it tickled you the right way, you could make it work. However, I do think it's worth noting that this gun dodged all the nerfs and remained a one-shot at any range for the rest of Warzone 1.
I didn't know that. Vanguard
This was an
Kar
extremely
98.
redundant addition to Warzone. We already had a Kar 98 that everyone loved, so I don't know why they decided to add a second. The only real...
Bro, bring, like, when Verdansk comes back later this year, it has to be the OG car, bro.
The differences were that the
the
Vanguard
car's
car
coming
didn't
back,
support
but I
Modern
think it's
Warfare
this one.
attachments, which was kind of a big deal since those attachments were objectively better for sniping. Other than that, these guns were pretty much the same,
Verdansk
really
was
just
better.
dealer's choice at this point. This was pretty much a World War II Barrett 50 cal. Semi-automatic, one shot to the head, decent mobility, and the only real drawback was its velocity and bullet drop. Other than that, this was one of the better sniping options at the time. This gun also dodged all the nerfs and was able to one-shot to any range throughout the...
It was semi-auto, but it could one-shot. That was actually a really fun sniper too.
I think after the Kar 98 and Swiss nerfs, people were so fixated and in denial about them still being good, so a lot of people kind of overlooked the Gorenko. It was used a decent bit, but definitely not as much as it should have been.
Mobility was bad.
Now with Warzone 2, we know that for the longest time, one-shot snipers wouldn't be a thing at all. However, at launch, the Victus had a bug where if you used the explosive ammo, it would allow a one-shot no matter what the range was. I kid you not, this only lasted for like 4 days, but people definitely made the most out of it. For the remainder of Warzone 2, I used the Victus as my sniper since you could kit it out to be practically hit scan and would two-tap at the chest at any range.
Just goes, can we take a moment to say how much worse this looks? It is true, bro, compared to the other like game we were just looking at.
All you really had to do
bad,
was just hit
bro.
your shots. Even after they allowed it to one-shot with explosive ammo, I still didn't use the one-shot build simply because of how much more difficult and different the velocity was. It was seriously like shooting a Minecraft bow. The Signal 50 was a semi-automatic sniper that at launch would two-tap to the torso. The rate of fire is one of the fastest we've seen from any sniper in Warzone, and for a game with no one-shot sniping at the time, it was pretty broken. I honestly hated getting killed by this since it pretty much felt like you were getting one-shot killed, only you weren't. The only real challenge the player had to overcome was the recoil. It was a decent amount, but once you felt comfortable with the pattern, this thing was broken. I think they nerfed it with the Season 2 patch, and it has honestly become very useless ever since. I'm not even joking, it might be a 4-shot in Warzone 3 right now. Once one-shot sniping was added through the explosive ammo buff, this was the go-to gun for everyone when it came to that. I honestly didn't think it was worth using since, like I said earlier, the velocity was just awful, but if you really wanted a one-shot sniping experience in Warzone 2, this is what you would use. It was quick, had a solid optic, and came with a default 10-round magazine, which was pretty nice. I would not use this gun unless you were using it with the explosive ammo. It was deemed useless otherwise. This was supposed to be the rebirth of the intervention, but I don't think I've ever been so let down by a gun before in my life. This thing was mid at best and still has no place in Warzone, even with its one-shot potential. Also, the fact that you had to pay for the original intervention sound was just disrespectful.
True and real.
This is the launch one-shot sniper of Warzone 3, and it is the
like
first
the
true
ZRG
one-shot
now that I'm
headshot
looking at it,
sniper
huh?
with no catch, exploit, range fall-off, or secret attachment necessary. This is what the community asked for, and we finally got it. The only real catch, even if you want to call it, was that its super slow mobility and the velocity not being the greatest. I think if a sniper is going to one-shot any range, there has to be some type of sacrifice so people aren't going to use the same exact gun. If you want to call it a problem, that's kind of what was going on in Warzone 1. Like, there was a lot of good snipers, but people would just use the Kar 98 because it was objectively the best. Basically, give sniping a little bit more variety, kind of like you do with the regular gun metas.
See, this is what it is now, right? it's just not as good as the other stuff.
The Stalker was introduced alongside Warzone 1, but had no one-shot potential until Season 2 of the game. It has a base range of 50 meters for a one-shot, but currently the max range for a one-shot with the right attachments is around 80 meters, I believe, and you don't even have to use explosive ammo, which is the best part about it. Without the explosive ammo, you have an insane velocity for a one-shot build, and it's truly the closest thing we've seen to a Kar 98 ripoff. I really like the current state of sniping since no one category is perfect, and you actually have to think about which sniper you want to run. Although we have two pretty good options right now, they're both fairly balanced in their own way. You can have the easy to use but not always one shot, or the harder to use but guarantee a one shot. If you're a Resurgence player, you'll probably lean toward the Stalker, and if you're a Battle Royale player, the Cat AMR is probably more your style. You can still find success in each mode with either gun. But that's the entire history of sniping in Warzone. Go ahead and comment your favorite sniper down below. Also, let me know if you forgot about any of these, because before making this video, I know I had for sure. The Rytec explosive rounds, that is something that just completely skipped my mind. Check out some of my other Warzone history videos. Stop by one of my live streams right here on YouTube. You don't even have to go to another app. Join my Discord if you're feeling crazy. And if you liked, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. Comment if you'd like. And thank you so much for watching.
These videos are still so well done.